It's a new year and we're back and better than ever. We've got the latest Hollywood headlines, a rant from Chauncey Baker, and Ben Cramer returns with his review of Django Unchained.
All this and more is coming your way. Don't go anywhere because The Real Deal starts now.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Real Deal, Ball State's one and only entertainment news show. I'm Kayli Russell.
And I'm Andrew Bennett. Here at The Real Deal, we pride ourselves on knowing what's going on in the entertainment industry. And Romelle Taday is here with the latest scoop. What have you got for us, Romelle?
All it takes is a hit Oscar-nominated movie based on your small debut novel about mental illness, relationships, and the Philadelphia Eagles to become one of the most coveted voices in town. Silver Lining Playbook author Matthew Quick is a Hollywood Cinderella story, and things just keep getting better for the former English teacher. It was announced on Friday that DreamWorks had acquired the rights to adapt his upcoming book, The Good Luck of Right Now, about a middle-aged man named Bartholomew Neal, who has always lived with his mother in Philadelphia. We immediately sparked to Matthew Quick's book and the heart and humor which is infused in his storytelling, said DreamWorks' Holly Barrio in a press release. All of us at DreamWorks are excited to begin this developing story and to look to make it a priority at the studio. The book is expected to be released in the spring of 2014 by HarperCollins. DreamWorks does not yet have a timeline for the developing movie, but we hope Richard Gere at least makes a cameo in the adaptation. CBS just ordered 4 pilots, including 2 comedies from Raising Hope and My Neighbor's Earl creator, Greg Garcia. The first up is Garcia's Super Clyde, a single-camera comedy about a meek, unassuming fast food worker who decides to become a superhero. Garcia also sold CBS an untitled multicam project about a recently divorced man whose life is complicated when his parents decide to move in with him. Both are from CBS TV studios, with Garcia as writer and executive producer. In addition, CBS picked up The McCarthys, a single-camera family comedy about a loud, sports-crazed Boston clan from writer and co-producer Brian Gallivan and executive producer Will Gluck. Also, CBS ordered a drama pilot called The Ordain. From former Time writer Lisa Takuki Cullen, the drama follows the son of a Kennedy-esque family who leaves the priesthood and becomes a lawyer to get closer to his family's enemies and prevents his politician sister from being assassinated. Executive producers include Frank Marshall, Larry Schumann, and A.B. Fisher, with Cullen and Robert Zatnowski co-executive producing. And Charlie Hunnam is in talks to top-line Crimson Peak director Guillermo del Toro's follow-up to his upcoming film with the Sons of Anarchy star in this summer's Pacific Rim. Emma Stone is also in talks to star what is being described as a haunted house film, though plot details are being kept hush-hush. Del Toro and Lucinda Coxon of Wild Target are rewriting the script that Del Toro wrote with Matthew Robbins of Mimic and Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. And that's it for Hollywood headlines. I'm Romelle Taday.
Thanks, Romelle. Looks like there are quite a few silver linings shaping up in the world of writers and studio executives.
It sure does. Anyway, it looks like it's time for our first break. When we come back, Chauncey Baker will give us this week's rant, and Aidan will deliver a jolly good top 5. But first, check out this weekend's box office report. Don't go anywhere.
He only knows people that kill people.
You're gonna walk away. That's the deal, Mary. I suggest you take it.
You're gonna be begging for a bullet before it's over.
Like this, it's a sin if you don't reach back.
This is what I believe to be true. You have to do everything you can, and if you stay positive, you have a shot at a silver lining.
When was the last time you saw Bin Laden?
Where's Mama Victoria?
Glad you stuck around. Tired of excessive computer-generated effects in movies? You're not alone. Chauncey Baker feels your pain. What do you have for us, Chauncey?
You know what I love more than explosions, guns, and gore in films? Okay,
There isn't anything I love more than on-screen carnage, and 2012 was a damn good year for it. But this wouldn't be a rant without me complaining about something, so this week I'm taking aim at the effects department. Nothing grinds my gears more than over-reliance on computer-generated carnage. Let's take Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull as an example. Almost every single explosion in the film was CG. Look back at Raiders and all the explosions were real. That airplane you see taking off really took off. Anymore, you could create the illusion of flight by superimposing an airplane into a computer-generated sky. Before someone complains, I realize this reduces risk of injury or death during filming, but I really could care less. It seems less genuine and authentic than real flight. While suspension of disbelief is almost required to view action movies, you almost have to suspend it even further to view any current film. Science fiction movies also don't get a pass. Take a look at the old Alien films, for example. Almost 30 years later, and the facehuggers are still creepy as hell in James Cameron's Aliens. Even movies I like overly use CG, like The Expendables 2. I realize this film isn't exactly highbrow cinema, but all of the blood was unanimously CG. What's so shameful about this is how inexpensive blood effects can be. Corn syrup and food dye. Really, Tom Savini realized this when he did the effects for George Romero's Dawn of the Dead back in '78. Practical effects rock. Plain and simple. Until Hollywood gets this through their thick crystal skulls, I have to suffer through computer-generated destruction. I'm Chauncey Baker, and this has been The Rant, and computer-simulated explosions suck.
Thanks, Chauncey. I'm sorry to say it looks like Hollywood won't let up on the CGI anytime soon.
But that's okay, because Aidan Hall is here to turn our attention across the pond with some of the most splendid films to come from jolly old England. Which movies made the top 5, Aidan?
Thanks, guys. With the popularity of BBC booming amongst the college population with hit shows like Doctor Who, Sherlock, and Top Gear, I thought it would be adequate to present to you, the audience, my top 5 magnificent movie masterpieces from our neighbors across the pond. So grab a cup of tea and brace yourself for quite the elegant culture shock. Number 5, Peter's Friends. Peter's Friends stars an amazing ensemble cast including Stephen Fry, Rita Rudner, and probably most famous of all, Hugh Laurie. Yes, back in 1992, Hugh Laurie teamed up with his old college friend Stephen Fry and helped deliver this comedy drama in all of its glory. The movie tells the tale of Peter, who after finding out he must sell his father's mansion, decides to throw one last party with all of his old college friends. The movie is excellently acted, and the multiple stories that blend together will have you laughing and crying with the characters. Number 4, Hot Fuzz. No list would be complete without the mention of the fine comedy duo Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and Hot Fuzz to me is one of their best works. Simon plays Nicholas Angel, a high-ranking police officer from London who's just a bit too extreme for the home of Big Ben, and is sentenced to jurisdiction over a small English town where he meets Nick Frost's character, Danny Butterman. The two team up after a series of unexplainable murders, show that the sleepy town of Sanford is anything but quiet. The movie has satire aplenty, and when there's not the good old sight gag, there's plenty of witty British humor to keep you laughing even through the credits. Number 3, Sleuth. If a comedy's not what you're looking for, how about a two-man show? Michael Caine and Jude Law star in this 2007 remake of the old British classic, where Michael Caine actually played Jude Law's role. Jude Law plays Milo Tyndall, a successful hairdresser and actor whom has had an affair with Michael Caine's character's wife. Michael Caine, as Andrew Wyke, is not pleased with Mr. Tyndall in the slightest. The film, for the most part, is a two-actor affair, as Mr. Tyndall and Mr. Wyke plot a heist of Mr. Wyke's estate to help Mr. Tyndall and the former Mrs. Wyke elope. The movie is excellent, and Jude Law and Michael Caine play off each other incredibly well, and you'll find yourself stunned until the last scene ends. Number 2, A Fish Called Wanda. What do you get when you put Kevin Kline, Jamie Lee Curtis, and John Cleese together in a film that doesn't begin with Monty Python Present? Why, you get comedy gold! A Fish Called Wanda tells the story of an American couple in England trying to get away with a jewel heist, but John Cleese's character Archie Leach stands in their way. However, with Jamie Lee's charm, she is able to seduce the unhappily married Archie into helping with their scheme, and hilarity ensues as chaos follows the crew wherever they go. The movie is about dated, but the wit is timeless. John Cleese gives one of his best performances in this film, and we're reminded that Kevin Kline is an excellent comedy actor, as well as a dramatic. And at number 1, Death at a Funeral. In 2010, Chris Rock and Martin Lawrence starred in a film about the craziness that occurred at their father's funeral. In short, this remake of the 2007 British dark comedy just didn't live up to the standard. And like most remakes, if you want to truly enjoy something, watch the source material. The 2007 British comedy of the same name had a much different approach to this script. Where the Chris Rock production had sight gags, the British had a dark charm to it. As the family comes together to mourn the death of their father, many secrets are revealed, and not even the dead father is safe. The film is beautifully destructive, and I know you'll be laughing when the credits roll. While the movie starts slow, I promise the comedy is well with it. And there you have it, dear viewers, my top 5 British films for the college kid. So next time you want a bit of class in your movie night, try one of these royal gems, and I promise you will not be disappointed. I'm Aidan Hall, and this has been the Top 5. Cheerio.
Thanks, Aidan. It's almost time for our next break. But first, here is our recommendation of the week. We here at The Real Deal eagerly look forward to the Oscars every year. So in these next few weeks leading up to the awards, our recommendations will feature a previous Best Picture nominee or winner.
Ang Lee is no stranger to the Academy Awards, having directed acclaimed films like Brokeback Mountain and this year's contender Life of Pi. But did you know he also directed the 1995 adaptation of the Jane Austen novel Sense and Sensibility? This faithful take on the classic book stars Emma Thompson, Alan Rickman, Hugh Grant, and a 19-year-old pre-Titanic Kate Winslet. You'll also see a few familiar faces because many of the supporting actors, in addition to Thompson and Rickman, were in the Harry Potter films.
Sense and Sensibility was nominated for 7 Oscars, including Lead Actress, Supporting Actress, Cinematography, Costume Design, Original Score, and Best Picture. But it only won for Emma Thompson's adapted screenplay. If we still haven't sold you on this film at this point, consider this. You'll see Alan Rickman in one of his few roles where he is not the villain. So check it out.
This holiday season, one motion picture will bring you all the surprises that life and love can offer.
You are the loveliest girls I ever set eyes on. Can you not get them married, Mrs. Dashwood?
Mary Ann and Eleanor, as different as 2 sisters can be.
Do you love him? I do not attempt to deny that I think very highly of him, that I greatly esteem him.
Esteem him? Like him?
Eleanor is not like you or me, dear. She does not like to be swayed by her emotions.
Columbia Pictures invites you.
The more I know of the world, the more I am convinced that I shall never see a man whom I can truly love.
To fall deeply.
Marianne, you must change. You will catch a cold.
What care I for colds when there is such a man?
You will care very much when your nose swells up.
You are right. Help me, Eleanor.
To feel intensely.
There's something of great importance that I need to tell you.
Why did you not urge him to stay?
He must have had his reasons for going.
I do not understand her, Mamma. Why does she never mention Edward? Eleanor, where is your heart?
To surrender completely.
Your sister seems very happy.
Do you think he'll kneel down when he asks her? They always kneel down.
To risk everything.
We know so little of him.
What is it you suspect him of?
Willoughby!
From Jane Austen's timeless classic.
There's some blue sky. Let us chase it!
Comes a motion picture beyond all expectations. Academy Award winner Emma Thompson, Alan Rickman, Kate Winslet, and Hugh Grant. Sense and Sensibility.
Glad you stuck around. It's a new year and a lot of shows are back from hiatus. Eli Ralston is back with his pick for the show with the strongest return in his episode of the week.
Since The Walking Dead hasn't returned yet, I'm pretty sure Eli hasn't chosen it yet. Which show did you pick this time, Eli?
We're back from winter break, and you know what that means. All of our favorite TV shows are about to come on. At this point of the year, only half of any good TV show has actually started. And of all the shows that have actually started, overall, it's been a pretty lackluster bunch with nothing too spectacular. But out of the shows that have aired, the best has to be the mid-season premiere of The Big Bang Theory titled The Egg Salad Equivalency. The main reason I picked this episode was Sheldon's utter lack of tact and understanding of the opposite general. Jim Parsons shouldered most of the comedic burn of this episode with some hilarious sit-down scenes. The sit-down he had with his assistant Alex resulted in a lot of laughs and some of the most memorable material from the entire season. And I honestly could have gone without some of the other fluff of this episode, like any scene with Howard and Bernadette, or just plain Bernadette or Amy Farrah Fowler in general. And the highlight of the episode had to be Sheldon's sit-down with the HR rep. It was hilarious to watch Sheldon try to figure out what he had done wrong to have a sexual harassment claim pinned against him. He then worsens his situation 100-fold by calling the woman a slave. The show's humor is generally pretty safe and mainstream friendly, and I always welcome it when the writers tend to veer a little more towards the edgy side of things. The humor level was maintained as Sheldon tried to throw the blame on his three friends, resulting in the entire group being dragged into HR like four misbehaving elementary students. Honestly, the reason I picked this episode was that it barely had any of the side girls in it. The reason this show was funny to start off with was that it was four dudes and Penny was across the hall. Now they're getting too much into the typical sitcom relationship stuff. This episode got back to the reason why The Big Bang Theory was funny. Jim Parsons and his hilarious character Sheldon Cooper. Side note, Jim Parsons deserved that Golden Globe, not Don Cheadle. Since only half the shows have aired, I'm going to pick the show that I'm most excited about. Now I know Andrew and Kayli would say that I would pick The Walking Dead, and 9 times out of 10, they'd be right. But I'm going to shock everybody and tell you the show I'm most excited for is the return of Community. After having their season cut in half, I'm really worried about the future of this show. Even though it's critically acclaimed, it's still always extremely close to being canceled. I love almost every episode of this show, and it really disappoints me to see that this show really does not get the credit it deserves. I just hope that the Greendale 7 can make it to their goal of 6 seasons and a movie. Well, that's it for me with this episode of The Week. I'm Eli Ralston, and make sure to look out in the future for me and Julie Ritchie's Oscar predictions.
Thanks, Eli. It looks like it's time for our last break. When we come back, Ben Cramer makes his long-awaited return with his review of Quentin Tarantino's latest Oscar-nominated film. Stick around.
Now I understand.
Just when I thought it couldn't get more offensive.
I'll do something. I always follow through. Always.
How do you sleep at night?
I don't drink coffee after 7.
Hell yeah! Good morning, sunshine.
You gotta be kidding me.
Welcome back. Many films cause quite a stir among critics and viewers alike, but perhaps none more so than Django Unchained. Ben Cramer is here to tell you why. Ben?
Quentin Tarantino's new movie, Django Unchained, came out on Christmas Day and tells the story of a slave named Django, played by Jamie Foxx. With the help of a dentist-turned-bounty hunter named Dr. King Schultz, Django becomes unchained and is taught the ways of being a bounty hunter. Set in the South a couple of years before the Civil War, Django's first mission is to help Schultz track down 3 slave owners called the Brittle Brothers. But things start to get interesting for Django when he learns the whereabouts of his wife. We find out she is owned by Calvin Candy, played by the remarkable Leonardo DiCaprio. Just like any other Tarantino film, much violence ensues, and this movie does not spare on the blood. What really made this film exciting for me were the interactions between the outlandish characters. Christoph Waltz, who plays Dr. King Schultz, was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He really stole the show for me. I wouldn't be surprised to see him walk away with his second Oscar for his second Tarantino film. Everyone in the cast took advantage of the screen time they were given. It was really refreshing to see DiCaprio play a villain you couldn't help but hate. And also Samuel L. Jackson does an amazing job as DiCaprio's trusted confidant. Be warned though, if you haven't seen a Quentin Tarantino film before, there are some things to know about him. For one, his movies can get kinda long, but Django Unchained's plot was so engaging that it really didn't seem like it dragged. I have to admit, when I first saw the movie, I thought it was going to end when there was still a solid 20 minutes left. The other thing you should know is that Tarantino likes to utilize a lot of dialogue into his scenes, and sometimes those scenes can build up to a very violent climax. Django Unchained was excellent in doing that. The bottom line here is that a movie doesn't come around very often like Django Unchained. Its original story, interesting characters, and heavy action make this Oscar nominee a film you should definitely go see.
Thanks, Ben. I'll have to add Django to my list of movies to see before the Oscars.
You'd better get going. They're only a month away. But now it's time to wrap things up with our final word. After you, Kayli.
Well, the movie that all of my friends have been talking about is movie 43. Every time I see the trailer, I have no idea what it's about, but I'm intrigued. So upon further investigation, which really just means looking it up on imdb.com, movie 43 is about a series of interconnected short films that follows 3 kids searching the internet to find the most banned movie in the world. According to Wikipedia, it was made over a span of 4 years and has 11 directors and 15 writers tied to it. What's surprising is how many household names are in this film. Halle Berry, Hugh Jackman, Emma Stone, Dennis Quaid, Kate Winslet, Gerard Butler, just to name a few, all star in what promises to be both raunchy and hilarious. Movie 43 releases this Friday, and it could either be a genius film or really horrible. But there's only one way to know for sure, and that's to check it out.
Well, for my final word, I will be talking about a film that I believe might be one of the most important films to come out in this past decade. And I'm talking about Zero Dark 30. If you haven't seen any previews or TV spots, the story centers around the long and sometimes pointless search and eventual death of Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. I'm not really sure what politicians think about this film, but as a lover of good movies, this is certainly compelling entertainment. Kathryn Bigelow, who won an Oscar for directing The Hurt Locker, is at the helm here, and she is in top form. Casting Jessica Chastain in the lead role of Maya was a brilliant move. I think we may have an Oscar winner on our hands here. Maya is a self-obsessed CIA operative who eventually gives the final order to capture or kill the world's most wanted criminal. She is terrific in the role. Never showy, but always in control. What I really loved about this movie is that it didn't glamorize or portray this mission with cliché triumph. There was truly a sense of ambivalence to this film that allows its audience members to decide for themselves what bin Laden's death really means. All in all, if you're going to make a relatively sluggish 10-year search into a riveting suspense thriller, take notes from Zero Dark 30.
Well, that's it for this week. Be sure to check out our Twitter and Facebook pages for all updates on all things entertainment. Until next time, I'm Kayli Russell.
And I'm Andrew Bennett. See you next week.